As a chef, I love Excel. Excel makes my life easy because it is both very powerful and very flexible. I can use it to plan a complex project, and it gives me the ability to see both the big picture and all the minutiae of details it's going to take to pull off any project successfully. In this tutorial, I'm using a form that I created for an offsite catering, but pay attention to the techniques and concepts that I'm talking about, because the form's not so important that I'm using here. If you can grasp the way that I've designed this, then you can create your own forms for any project that you're working on, whether it's a catering event, rolling out a new recipe, rolling out an entire new menu, or even planning the opening of a restaurant. Excel has a capability to multitask all kinds of sub-projects and make your life way easier and help you stay on target. Alright, so let's jump in here. You'll notice down on the left side here that I've got different tabs. I've got the idea tab, then I've got a menu tab, a prep tab, a loading tab, ordering, and a recipe. So starting at the beginning, I've got two different areas here. This is for text, where I've gone through and chosen a couple of different items that I'm considering to work on, and I'll just throw up different ideas as they come to me. And over on this side, I've got different images that I've put up. Not necessarily what I'm going to do, but something to add inspiration. You'll see over here I've got salmon pretty much selected as my main item, but over here I've got a white fish. And the reason for that is I just like that presentation. So perhaps I'll incorporate a presentation with salmon, including that plate layout. So coming back over here to this side, one of the things I love about Excel is the ability to index things. So I've got a major item here, and then I've got sub items here. And if I come down to this one, I've got an additional sub item here, because I started working on garnish ideas, but I didn't know what I wanted, so I just clicked off a number of different things to put on here. And if I decide that I need another column inserted, it's easy enough to do. I'll just insert a column, and then I can drag it however wide I want, and so on and so forth. Same thing if I need another row, I'll just insert a row. I can do as many as I want, and then I can continue adding more items here if need be. Alright, so going on to menu, this is what I chose for this food show. So I'll put down exactly what I want to have displayed on menu cards, on multimedia, that kind of thing. I've included a picture actually taken at the show. And then up top here, I'll include all the basic information, the date, the time, how many people, website link to the event if there's one available. The prep tab, to me, this is the most useful aspect of this whole workbook. Excel makes it so easy to track everything from start to finish in a project. If you're one of those chefs that does everything by the seat of his pants, you're always under stress to get a project done, running super tight on deadlines, this is your mental mise en place to organize any task from start to finish, whether it's a week, a month, a year, whatever. So let's dive into this one. So on the left here in bold, I've got all of the major recipes that need to be completed. Under salmon, I've got the various sub aspects of that particular recipe. The salmon is going to be the item that is the most time consuming, therefore it's the most important. So in building this sheet, you start at the end. The date of the show's on Thursday. I need everything done by Wednesday so it's ready to go. The lox I want to have cut here on Tuesday. Working backwards from there, I've got a step here, I've got a step here, I have a step here. That means in order to be done by the time frame that I want it done, I need to be pulling it from the freezer on Friday. This is huge because it organizes everything so that you can know exactly what needs to be done when. You can assign stuff out according to who you want to do it. Of course, you've got your quantities, how much to prep, so on and so forth. So every day as you come in, you show up on Monday and you say, okay, are we on track? Are these items done? It's easy to hold your crew accountable. It's easy to keep track of exactly where you're at, and it makes your life stress-free. Well, that's not true. It can minimize your stress because at least you'll know whether or not you're on target, and you can catch problems when they happen and get yourself back on track. Loading is simply the equipment and so on that need to be packed and loaded for the event. Ordering takes all of the ingredients that you need in order to complete each recipe, put in their units of measure and so on. If you need costing, you can do that as well. Excel is ideally set up for calculating costs. So total cost of my salmon is here. It takes that by multiplying my unit cost of the salmon by how many pounds that I have, and then it puts that total cost over here. Total cost of the project is down here. So it's a pretty awesome tool for tracking costs as well. And finally, of course, we have to have a recipe for this project, and it is a pastrami lox recipe. You'll notice that I've got two separate sets of measurements here. Since I've scaled it up 25 times, 50 tablespoons, that's kind of hard to measure out. So I've converted it into cups as well. You can find this scalable recipe and a whole demo on how to do it. I'll leave notes in the footnotes here so that you can find it off the website. But essentially, it makes it so that you can scale a recipe. If I put one in here, all the numbers change back to a single batch. You can put in any number you want and the recipe will be scaled. So anyways, you can find that on the website. Alright, so moving on to part 2 of this tutorial, I'm going to show how to actually create this thing from scratch. So if you're very familiar with Excel, you don't need to watch this part, but if you want to learn how to create this whole thing from scratch, then this part's for you, because I'll go into detail about the different commands and so on to use. So I'm going to move this screen out of the way. This is the way a typical Excel sheet will open. You'll have 3 tabs on the bottom here. They'll be named sheet 1, 2, and 3. All of the columns and rows are equal distance. So I'm going to copy and paste. Let's drop down the tab at the top and paste. Okay. So this is the text from the original worksheet. You'll notice there's no bold, everything's still equidistant, so on and so forth. So to drag a column, you left click, drag it over to where you want it, release, and now it'll stay. Same thing with a secondary column, click, drag it over to where you want it, and release. Now this third column I also want to drag, simply because I've got all this grid work here. So I want to drag that over to the end of the longest sentence and drop that. If I want to get rid of the grids completely, go up to View, click Grid Lines, and now all the grids go away. Now technically they are still there, it's just they're not visible. Alright, so I'm going to put them back on for a little bit. Up here, top left hand corner, these are custom tools that I like to have up here. Typically Excel doesn't open with those. It's especially helpful to have delete row delete column, insert column, delete row. To add those, you simply click on this down arrow. Default ones are here that are popular. Click on more commands. It pulls up everything, and then you'll see over here the different things to add. So if you want to add a different thing, you'll just click on it, click add, and it pops up over in this column. To remove something, just remove, and when you're all done, click OK. And then you've got this customize. That can save you a lot of time when you're working in Excel. Now I want this first column to be bold, and now everything that I put in that column is going to be bold. Let's say you want to add pictures in. If I pull up pictures from my computer, it's probably not going to let me paste. So if you want to insert something directly from your computer, you actually need to go to Insert, Picture, search around for something to put in there. Let's throw this in there. And you'll notice that it has these boxes around it. That makes it easy to click and drag and resize it any way you want. So you just left click, hold it down, and resize it to any shape you want. To drag it, click in the center, and you can move it around any place. So it's really easy to insert pictures off your computer. On the other hand, if you want to insert a picture from a website, you copy image, and I'm not sure if it will let you paste directly. Let's try it. Okay, so it did allow me to paste it right in, and then from there again you can resize it and move it around wherever you want. There is another thing I want to show you from a website. Let's see. If you say copy, click somewhere where you want it to paste, and then use the keyboard functions, Control V, that will also work. And again, you can resize it whatever you want. Okay, so that's images and some basic layout. If you want to insert rows here, simple, come up here, click insert. The more times you click, the more rows you insert. If you want to insert multiple rows, if you highlight, what do I have here, 5, insert, it's going to do 5. Now if I were to highlight these and click insert, now it would be 10, and so it keeps on going up. To remove columns or rows, just delete. Down here, if I want to insert another column, there I go, and then again I can drag it to wherever. To change the name, right click, rename, and hit enter, and then you're done. Okay, so let's move on to the next tab. I'm not going to do menu from the sheet we have on the demo because that's pretty straightforward, but I will do prep. So I'm going to copy just my information and paste values. Okay, so again I'm going to drag this row over. I want to bold all of these items. I want this column to be wide enough so that this is easy to read. And then, let's see, I'm going to need some more space above, so I'm going to insert a couple of rows. I'm going to need quantity, unit, oops, Friday, Saturday. I'll cheat a little bit and just copy and paste up here to make this go faster. Alright, then I want all of that to be bold. So now I've got my dates and Monday through Friday, so on and so forth. I want these to be outlined. So I'm going to do an outline that way. Down here, I want all of these to be with a grid outline. All boxes, and then I'm going to want these to be centered and bold when I put information in there. These I also want to be centered. Down here, I just want my top and bottom. So I'll select the thickness of the line weight that I want. And there we have all of that. Okay, if I want to include outlines here, all I need to do is continue to do outlines. As soon as you select something once, now I've got an outline box here. I don't have to go back into the sub menu. It's just automatically stays there. Makes it a little bit quicker. So this is all just for beautifying or making the document a little bit easier to read. So now if I go in and start putting in what day, what day I want items to be done, it's easy to do. And there you have that part of the sheet. If I want to remove all of these lines, come back in, go to more borders, remove the center one, and now you've got pretty much just an outline of all this. Now let's say that you want to change the column width for all of these and make them all be the same. You'll come over to Format, Column Width. It pops up in here what the current column width is, so long as they are all the same. Let's change it to say 5, and that might be a little bit too small. Try 7, and now they are all identical as far as the ones that are highlighted here. So that makes it very easy to make everything exactly the same. Let's say that you want to copy this for whatever reason and you want it exactly the same. If you click right here in this square, it highlights the entire sheet, so it's everything on this whole page. Click Control C, you can see the dashed line like moving ants or whatever. Come here, click the same corner, click Control V, and it copies and pastes everything. So from the original sheet you go Control C, that copies. Where you want to paste it, you put Control V and it pastes the whole thing, including your column widths and everything. Alright, so now let's show a little bit of math. I'm going to pull in the original form that we were working on. Excel is made up of all these different cells. Over here you can see that L and 4 are highlighted. This is cell L4. Up here, this area always displays what is in the cell. So if it's a word, it's just going to be the word. If there's a mathematical formula, it will always start with equals, and then here it's K4 times B4. So K4 is this cell times B4 is over here, and B4 also has a formula in it. So essentially this is the unit cost of the salmon times 35 pounds. And the way to do that, I'll put one in over here. You always start a formula with the equal sign. You see the equals, and then you just click on what you want to do. So I want to multiply this times this, and it does the math for you. If I wanted to make it even more complex, I can say equals this times this divided by this, and it's going to give me a sum. Not that I would do that, but it shows you an example. Over here on the salmon, what I did was I took B1, which is right here, the number of covers, times 0.3 ounces, because each slice of my salmon is going to be about 1/3 of an ounce, divided it by 16 to get how many ounces in a pound, divided that by 90% or 0.9, because my salmon comes skin on, and by the time I remove the skin, do some trim, I've lost 10%, which means 90% yield. So basically what I'm doing is I'm figuring out how many pounds I need to purchase. So at 1/3 of an ounce per person times 1,400 people with a 90% yield on the salmon, I need 35 pounds. And then at the end here, I've got +6 because I gave myself a little cushion. I added 6 extra pounds. So that's how that works. And finally, to show you this formula, it says equals the sum of L4 through L18. L4 is here, L18 is here, and it's essentially giving you the sum of this entire column. So to do that, you will hit equals, type in sum, hit your first parentheses, and then highlight whatever it is that you want. Type enter, and it adds the other parentheses, or you could enter the other parentheses yourself. Now if I want to modify that, say I want to say plus whatever's over here, now it is just added 35 pounds because that's the number that's in that cell. Alright, well, that wraps it up. I hope that this has been helpful. Happy cooking!